Remember being a kid and time was so simple? This cake will remind you of those days. Traditional yellow cake with chocolate frosting. First thing we're going to do is get a box of cake mix. I'm using Duncan Hines vanilla flavor. You can use the good old yellow cake mix, whatever you decide, whatever brand, whatever flavor. Instead of using water, I used a cup of buttermilk. So room temperature buttermilk, 1 cup opposed to the water. We're still going to add our 3 eggs. Just as the directions stated on the box. We're going to add a 1/2 cup of oil, but I'm also adding vanilla. The vanilla is, I'm just going to punch up that vanilla flavor. And then what the buttermilk does, it makes the cake super moist and it tastes like it came from a bakery. So, you know, you want to have maximum flavor, just doing a little tweak. What we're also going to do is preheat our oven to 350 degrees and prep our baking dish. I'm using a 13x9 casserole dish. We doing old school, baby. We doing an old school sheet cake like we had back in the 80s for our birthdays. So we're going to make sure that's well combined. My arms was hurting. I should have used my hand mixer or even my stand mixer. But, you know, I wanted to prove that I can do it, that I can be old school. Lord, my arm was hurting. Now, as our cake bakes, we're going to make our frosting. So we're going to have a 1.5 sticks of unsalted room temperature butter. We're going to mix until it's nice and fluffy, about 2 to 3 minutes. Once our butter is fluffy, we're going to add 2 2/3 cups of powdered sugar and a 1/2 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder and a pinch of salt. Now we're going to add like about a 1/4 cup of 1/2 or heavy cream. Look at that flour on my face. I'm looking a hot mess. And once that's all combined, we're going to add 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And then I'm adding some chocolate syrup. Yeah, it's going to bring it up a notch. And now it's nice and fluffy. So we're going to ice our cake. And I'm using an ice cream scoop just to plop it on there. And I'm using an offset spatula to spread that nice chocolate frosting. It is so decadent. It is delicious. And you know what ingredients go in it. You know we can buy the frosting at the store. But if you make it at home from scratch, you know what goes into your frosting. This reminds me of my grandmother. This reminds me of my Uncle Bobby Joe. Good old yellow cake and chocolate frosting. I had some leftover chocolate chips, so I'm going to give it a little razzle-dazzle. Hey, Nicole. Give it a little razzle-dazzle with some chocolate chips. So now it's taste test time. I'm like, oh my goodness. I took a bite and I thought to myself, this reminds me of 1986, my birthday. And my mom had made me this same cake, but it had sprinkles on top. And my cousins came over. But this is so nostalgic. I love it. I want you guys to try this recipe and tell me what you think. Enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time. Love you. Toodles.